The next question is on trends in education. Does it make sense to you teaching electronics or computing over the internet, especially doing lab work remotely, let's say a temperature control algorithm on equipment running in the lab, while sitting on a computer at home and using an internet connection?
Sure, you can do remote experiments with the internet. There's no reason why students shouldn't be able to do that. If they want to measure temperature remotely or turn a motor on or off remotely over an internet or Ethernet connection as part of a lab experiment, that's fine. Personally, I like to have lab equipment in front of me. I can see exactly what's going on. I can see my LEDs go on and off, my display change. I can see my push buttons actuate and make something happen, and I feel that it's more real that way. There are no tricks that somebody's playing somewhere down the line that are influencing the measurements that I make. I don't have to worry about latency on the internet and on Ethernet connections, so I prefer hands-on. But yeah, there are things you can learn. You can learn programming remotely. You can have simulators of various computer systems and instruction sets, and I'm sure that there are C simulators that you can run and test programs. So that's a fine way to learn. As I said earlier, I just like hands-on. I think it's a great experience. I wouldn't want to try and learn cooking remotely. I like to have my pots and pans on the stove and crack the eggs myself and scramble them and fix dessert and do other things in my own kitchen, and I feel the same way about labs.
In your opinion, what would be the most effective ways of transferring engineering and computing knowledge to the younger generations of students?
Well, I'm not quite sure how we do actually transfer that knowledge to young people. Certainly one way to do it is through the schools and adjust the curriculum somewhat. After Sputnik went up in 1957, the school curriculum changed with a heavy emphasis on science and math. I don't see any reason why people who are not going on to engineering and science degrees in college couldn't take some shorter courses in biology or skip earth science and get some engineering fundamentals thrown in, how to build things, how to fix things, how things work. I think that's an important aspect that we don't teach kids anymore. And they don't have the kinds of toys and mechanisms and things like erector sets that I had as a kid in the 50s and in the 60s, getting involved with building electrical and electronic devices and bits and pieces that made up electronic projects or ham radio. We just don't seem to have that emphasis anymore. I think another way, too, is for parents to be more involved in their school activities. The kids certainly are interested in robotics, they're interested in computers, they're interested in electronics, and they're interested in a lot of other activities, too, music, art, sports, and so on. I'm not sure whether it's that the parents don't have a great deal of engineering or science in their background or don't have a great deal of interest, but it really is important for the parents to tell their school administrators, look, we need a robotics team or we need a robotics club, and get some people in to sponsor it. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the school administrators just don't understand that need. I approached a local high school principal about starting a robotics club or getting some computer activities going and never even got the courtesy of a reply back. So there's that stone wall that you run into sometimes as well. Taking kids to science museums, to science exhibits, getting them interested in that kind of thing, even subscribing to magazines or exposing the kids to publications like Scientific American, Popular Science, Popular Mechanics certainly gives them an appreciation for what's going on. When I was a youngster, kids in the neighborhood used to like to fix cars, so they came away with some mechanical aptitudes that served them well later in life. I guess that's pretty much my thought on it, to get the kids involved in some activities, and we'll transfer that computing information and computer knowledge as well as engineering information and information knowledge too.
This computing competition has been won last year by a team from Russia, and another programming competition organized by ACM was won by a team from Poland. The Traditional Computer Society International Student Design Competition has been also dominated by foreign teams. What may be the reason that the teams from American universities are falling behind in all these? Do you see a way to improve it?
I wouldn't be terribly concerned about other countries' teams winning competitions, whether they're computer competitions or website design competitions, software competitions of some sort. Every country and every academic system and every school and every individual has strengths and weaknesses, so These things happen. The individual country may emphasize computer education heavily for a decade or so and win a lot of competitions. It's not something I would be worried about. I think, though, that if you look carefully at why a particular entry won, that it can tell you something about the strengths and weaknesses of that team or the education system. So if you look at the Polish entry, for example, or the Russian entry, try and figure out what they did that would be worth your team doing or another team doing or some other competitor doing. Find some weaknesses there. You always want to attack from a point of weakness. You don't want to attack somebody because they're strong in a particular area. And look for niches to get into, too. You know, if you say that the people in Poland, for example, and I'm using this as kind of a facetious example, but if you say the people in Poland make excellent sausage, well, how do you compete against that? Well, you've got a couple of ways. Don't compete. Say, okay, I'm not going to make sausage. Decide, okay, I'm going to make better sausage, or I'm going to make different sausage, or I'm going to cater to different types of markets. And the same thing holds true for people in competitions. Take a look at what people are doing and what's being done in different countries and figure out ways to do it differently. I don't think that winning these competitions mean that those countries have better or worse education systems. It just means in those instances they had better entries and they just did a better job. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that other countries and other areas and individuals certainly deserve to win competitions. The United States can't always come out first in everything and should just acknowledge the strengths that these other teams and other countries have. Well, I enjoyed very much chatting with you today and answering your questions. I hope it was fun for you too, and look forward to talking with you again sometime soon. Thanks very much.